Hi everyone, my name is Susie Q and I am the owner and maker of Glitter with Susie Q. If you like the content that you're seeing, please like, subscribe, and share. You can also connect with me by Facebook, Instagram, and email. Today we're going to be making this tumbler that says, "In the interest of full transparency, it was not easy peasy lemon squeezy." This was such an easy cup to make. This is a cup that you can make very, very quickly if you need a quick gift or if you need something really easy to make. This is the cup that you should make. So the supplies that we're going with today is a 20-ounce tumbler. We are going to be using this really, really cute vinyl called Easy Peasy and the decal. Both the vinyl and the decal are from the Glitter Guy. We will be using the Arteza paint color, and it's Coronation Pink. And then we're also going to be using this Glitter Chimp glitter called Sweet Cherry Pie. My first step is I am measuring how much of the vinyl I want to go on my cup. So I want the vinyl to go on the top and bottom, and then I want the decal and the glitter to be in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take my my vinyl and I'm going to measure my cup. I am going to measure it by I'm going to measure it so that I can decide how much vinyl I need to cut. So I'm just going to set my decal right here on top of my measuring tape, and then I am going to determine that I need 2 inches of vinyl for the top and 2 inches for the bottom. So the easiest thing that I could think of was just grabbing my paper trimmer, and I am going to just cut off 2 inches, 2-inch sections of this vinyl. Now that I'm done cutting my vinyl, I'm going to make sure that I'm lining it up correctly and keeping it the right orientation because I want it to lay this specific way on the cup. So I'm going to take my vinyl and I'm going to measure it one more time. I'm going to put the vinyl on there and then I'm going to put the decal on there just to make sure that I made the right sized cut vinyl. It would be really terrible if I got it all on there and then realized that my decal didn't fit. So make sure that you're always measuring twice and cutting once. That will save you a lot of time and heartache in the future. So I'm going to use the hinge method in order to apply the vinyl. I'm just taking a little piece of tape and I am taping it to the cup, and then I'm going to wrap around the vinyl to see if it lines up. Once it is lined up nicely, I will then peel back I will peel back the carrier sheet, the lining on the back, and expose the sticky adhesive. And then I'm going to use my squeegee tool to very gently and slowly push the vinyl around the cup so that I can adhere it to the cup. You want to do it slowly and you want to do it with a squeegee or using your fingers so that you minimize the amount of air bubbles that get in or underneath your vinyl. This time I didn't get any air bubbles, but if you get an air bubble, it's not that big of a deal. All you need to do is just take your craft knife and just put a little slice or pop the bubble and squeeze out all the air. Now I got around to the end, and so I'm just putting a little crease where the two pieces of vinyl meet up. But then I realized that if I cut it there, I'm gonna cut that really cute lemon in half, and I don't wanna do that. So I'm just gonna go to the far side of the lemon, and I'm just gonna cut around that lemon and around the leaves so that I can have a seam that's a lot less noticeable instead of having a lemon that's just cut right in half. This will help camouflage your seams, and this will help it make a little bit more crisp and polished. If you don't want to do that and you just want to cut straight down the seam, it's not a big deal. I just noticed that I could easily make it work, and so I was going to. So I finished putting the vinyl on the bottom, and then I am going to take the vinyl and start working on the top. I am again going to use the hinge method, but I really wanted to make sure that that decal was going to fit again. So I'm just wrapping it around, making sure everything lines up. I'm going to grab a piece of tape, and I'm going to follow the same directions that I just told you about when I did the first piece of vinyl. If you don't mind doing me a favor, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you're notified anytime that I release a new video. For whatever reason, I had a much harder time laying down this top piece of vinyl than the bottom piece. I kind of had to peel it back a little bit, spread it down again, peel it back, and you'll see here in a minute what I'm talking about. I went ahead and I cut around the leaves in order to make my, my seam not so noticeable on the top as well. And once I cut my, my vinyl, I realized that the lines really didn't match up great, and so it would have been really, really, really noticeable. And so I am just going to peel back the vinyl very gently, and I am just going to reposition it so that the lines match up better. Because this decal has lines, it really did need to match up better than this, or else it would have been very, very noticeable where my seam was. So I'm just lifting it up and I'm gently repositioning it back down, doing my best to again not create air bubbles, and I am trying to line it up so that my stripes match up on the vinyl. I am now going to put a sheet of paper underneath my my cup, and I am going to add my foam piece and my tumbler arm. My next step is that I am going to paint my, my cup. So I'm going to use that Arteza Carnation Pink, and I am going to just paint my cup. But the first step that I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that I protected my vinyl. So I went ahead and I just put this green tape on top of my vinyl. It took 2 strips, one on the bottom of the piece of vinyl and one on the top. There was a little sliver left in the middle, and I was relatively confident that I was going to be able to paint this without getting paint all over the vinyl like I did in my last video that I'll link right here. And so I went ahead and I put my tape on there so that I could protect my vinyl. While you're watching me tape up this vinyl, will you go ahead and hit that like button so that you can show my video some love? Now that I'm done painting, or now that I'm done taping, it's time to paint. This paint was a very light pink color, and for whatever reason, it was really runny. Like, you can see it running down the cup. So this paint, it took probably 3 or 4 coats of paint in order for this to get the coverage that I wanted. So I'm only showing you this first coat of paint that I did, but just know that I did do about 3 coats of paint, and I let it completely dry between each coat. So I want to say that I let it dry for about 30 minutes, and then I would do another coat, let it dry for about 30 minutes, and then I did my last coat. Now that my paint is on, I am ready to add my glitter. I am going to use Sweet Cherry Pie by Glitter Chimp, and I am going to use the epoxy method to apply my glitter. I'm using a very small amount of epoxy. I do have a lot mixed up there, but that's because I was working on a bunch of cups, and so I am just dipping my fingers in and I'm spreading it around the cup. It looks like I'm using a lot, and I am using probably more than I normally would for 2 reasons. The first reason is that this is a very chunky glitter, and so when I'm using a chunky glitter, I put more epoxy on my cups so that the glitter has more to adhere to and it lays down flatter. The second reason why I'm having to use more epoxy than I normally would is because my epoxy is starting to cure on me. And so when that happens, it's much harder to spread, and it takes a little bit more epoxy to get the amount that you need for it to stay on the cup. So then I'm just going to sprinkle my glitter everywhere that there's paint and epoxy. Do the best job that you can in order to get epoxy everywhere. You don't want bald patches on your cup, and so just make sure that you're putting enough epoxy on and that you're covering everywhere that you want in epoxy for your glitter to stick. Now that my glitter's put away, I am going to use that sheet of paper and I'm going to roll my cup on that sheet of paper. And the reason why I'm doing this is to stick that glitter down so that none of the glitter is sticking straight up. This is going to help a lot in later steps when you're doing your epoxy. If you have pieces of glitter that are sticking straight up, you're going to have to use a lot more epoxy and do a lot more layers. So I really try my best to flatten as best as I can and kind of push down any piece of glitter that I see that's sticking up. I try to either take it off the cup or smush it down with my finger or the piece of paper. Once I'm done flattening my glitter, I am immediately going to remove the tape. Do not forget to remove your tape. If you forget to remove your tape, you're going to have a lot of extra work in front of you because that tape is going to cure to your vinyl and then you're going to have to figure out a way to get it off. So make sure that you peel that tape the moment you're done glittering and pushing down the glitter. After the epoxy cured, I am going to the step of sealing. I'm using my tried and true Crystalac glitter glue. I absolutely love this stuff. This stuff works so well. If you use it, you will not be disappointed. But I am just spreading it all over the cup. I am using this little paintbrush and I'm just anywhere that there's glitter, I am putting on the Crystalac glitter glue. Comment below on what kind of sealer you like to use most on your cups. Make sure you let your glitter glue dry completely before you do anything else to it. So I put this on and I let it dry for at least 2 hours. It was probably overnight that I let it dry, but I know for sure I let it sit for at least 2 hours so that the glitter glue was completely dry. After my glitter glue dried, I went ahead and I put it on my turner and I put 2 pretty good thick layers of epoxy on there to make sure that I could no longer feel any of the glitter. After a quick sand, I am now going to work on my decals. So I am taking this little black pinstripe that I have that I cut out with my Cricut, just a very, very thin black piece of vinyl, and I am going to put it where the vinyl and the glitter match up together, or meet up together. And I'm going to do that on the bottom and on the top. I did not put the black pinstripe on the very, very bottom or on the very, very top. I wanted it to be a very small accent, and since the vinyl was so close to the top and bottom, I was afraid that I would have some puckering issues with it, and so I just wanted to lay it kind of to also frame out our decal that's coming up. Now, I'm telling you that I made a rookie mistake on this cup. I lightly sanded my cup just to make sure that I had no bumps or lumps or anything that was going to be underneath my decal. As I was laying down my decal, that's when I realized, uh-oh, you made a mistake. But it was already too late. My decal was half down. I wasn't going to risk pulling it up and ruining it, and I just kind of hoped for the best. This decal is a clear back decal. So because I sanded it, I ran the risk of being able to see those sanding marks underneath the part of the decal that was clear. Fortunately, for some amazing, wonderful, godly reason, sanding marks didn't show up. It does not look like I sanded this cup, and maybe it was because it was such a light sand. I don't know how, but that is my one regret of this cup. I panicked a little bit when I realized that I could have potentially messed this cup up very badly. But it all worked out in the end, and I regret making that mistake because I really was worried that it was not going to turn out. And I had already come so far, and the cup was looking really cute, and I was just very nervous that that the cup was ruined at this point. I'm trying to find the smoothest part of my cup. I want to make sure that there are no bumps, because if there's a bump, you could potentially see it underneath the decal, and I really didn't want that to happen. So I'm finding the smoothest section of my cup, and I'm going to use the hinge method again in order to adhere this decal to my cup. After I got my decal down, I put this back on my tumbler, and I did another 2 layers of epoxy. In between each of those 2 layers, I did do a very small sanding job just to make sure that there were no bumps in my final layer of epoxy. And here's our completed cup. I know that the decal says, in the interest of full transparency, it was not easy peasy lemon squeezy, but this cup really was easy peasy lemon squeezy. I would highly recommend making this if you need a quick gift, if you're working on making cups for a craft show, if you need a very quick, easy design, this is your cup. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. You can connect with me on social media with Facebook and Instagram, and you can also send me an email. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. But now it's time for you to watch the video that's suggested for you on the screen. Have a great day. Bye.